All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the exact no-nonsense math behind Roth and traditional 401ks to reveal what you actually need to know to make the best choice for your money. If you've ever sat there staring at your benefits portal wondering which account type you should be funneling your hard-earned cash into, you are absolutely in the right place. We're skipping the generic, cookie-cutter advice today and getting right down to the actual numbers.
Okay, let's just jump right into the core mystery here. Look at these two numbers. If you put $500 a month into one account over your entire career, you might see that huge, beautiful $900,000 figure on the left. But depending entirely on how you treat your taxes, your actual real-world take-home cash could look a lot more like the $700,000 number on the right. On the surface, these two accounts look incredibly similar, but as we're going to see, they operate in completely different universes.
So the absolutely crucial point here is figuring out which of these choices represents a costly mistake. And I mean a big one, sometimes to the tune of 40 grand or literally even $100,000 or more over your lifetime. And shockingly, it has absolutely nothing to do with simply guessing your current tax bracket. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to quickly hit the mechanics of your 401k, break down exactly why standard advice fails, walk through the actual math step by step, uncover a sneaky 2026 rule change, and then give you a rock-solid decision framework. Let's get into it.
Section 1. Mechanics and Understanding the Tax Checkpoints.
First things first, it is absolutely vital to understand that traditional and Roth aren't different investments. They're just different tax treatments sitting inside the exact same plan. It basically all comes down to two checkpoints: today and retirement. With a traditional 401k, your money goes in pre-tax today, which feels great. But at retirement, every single dollar you withdraw gets taxed. A Roth 401k completely flips that script. You pay the taxes today, up front, but in retirement, the withdrawals and all that sweet growth are completely 100% tax-free.
Now, for 2026, the combined employee contribution limit is $24,500. But here is the kicker that trips a lot of people up. You don't get $24,500 for your traditional account and then another $24,500 for your Roth. They share the exact same ceiling. So the contribution limit itself won't help you decide which one to pick. The math is going to have to do that for us.
Which brings us to Section 2, why standard advice usually fails and the missing variables nobody talks about.
If you've done any Googling on this, you've definitely heard the golden rule. If you'll be in a lower tax bracket in retirement, go traditional. If higher, go Roth. Honestly, telling you to just guess your future tax bracket is pretty terrible advice. Why? Well, first off, congressional tax brackets change all the time. Trying to predict what Congress will do with tax law in 30 years is literally a superpower none of us possess. Second, required minimum distributions, or RMDs, eventually force you to pull money out of pre-tax accounts whether you want to or not, which can easily push you into higher brackets. And third, something as simple as moving to a different state in retirement completely changes your overall tax burden.
So instead of trying to read a crystal ball, we really need to focus on this concept right here: tax diversification. Having both pre-tax and after-tax accounts gives you the ultimate superpower in retirement, and that's flexibility. It allows you to actually control your taxable income year by year. You pull from the taxable bucket when you have room in a low tax bracket, and you pull from the tax-free Roth bucket when you don't. It's a total game changer.
All right, Section 3. This is the fun part, the actual math walkthrough, where we run the numbers.
Let's stop hand-waving and actually look at the projections. Imagine a 30-year-old contributing $500 a month. We're going to assume a fairly standard 7% average annual return over a 35-year timeline. And we'll place our hypothetical saver in a 22% current marginal tax bracket. Okay, if that person puts $500 a month into a traditional 401k, after 35 years, it grows to a massive, jaw-dropping $900,527. It looks incredible. But remember, this is entirely pre-tax. They haven't paid a single dime to the IRS on this money yet.
But here is the massive hidden secret nobody tells you. A $500 pre-tax contribution does not actually cost you $500 out of your paycheck, because that money is shielded from your 22% tax rate today, making that contribution actually only reduces your take-home pay by $390. Basically, the government is kind of subsidizing the rest of it for you.
So to do a truly fair apples-to-apples comparison, we can't just slap $500 into the Roth side. We can only put in what it actually costs you out of your pocket, which is $390. So if we invest that exact same $390 out-of-pocket amount into a Roth account every month for 35 years at a 7% return, it grows to $702,411. And because it's a Roth, every single penny of that is yours, totally tax-free.
So what happens to that massive $900,000 traditional account we just looked at? Well, when you apply that exact same 22% tax to your traditional balance at retirement, you are left with exactly $702,411. Yep, it is the exact same final number. This proves that if your tax brackets stay exactly the same, the financial outcome is mathematically identical. Mind-blowing, right?
So the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that it all comes down to bracket changes. If you drop down to a 12% bracket in retirement, the traditional account actually wins by 90 grand. But on the flip side, if your taxes bump up to just 24% in retirement, the Roth ends up winning by 18 grand. Your best choice is entirely dependent on that shift in tax rates.
Now, of course, keep in mind these are illustrative projections. Real life obviously doesn't hand you a perfectly smooth 7% return every single year, and tax brackets have a ton of moving parts. But the underlying math and mechanics of this comparison, those are rock solid.
Let's move to Section 4, the 2026 rule change. And this is a massive alert for high earners.
We urgently need to talk about a huge tax rule change coming out of the Secure 2.0 Act. $150,000. If your prior year's FICA wages, that's your Social Security wages, which you can usually find in Box 3 of your W-2, hit this specific threshold, the IRS is stepping in and totally changing your options.
Here's how it works. If you are 50 or older and you hit that $150,000 wage threshold the year prior, your catch-up contributions are now legally required to be made as Roth contributions, period. You completely lose the pre-tax option for that catch-up money. And critically, if your employer's 401k plan doesn't even offer a Roth option yet, you might not be allowed to make catch-up contributions at all. It's a really big deal.
Finally, Section 5, your decision framework, and the 3 questions you need to ask.
So with all this math and all these wild rule changes flying around, how do you actually make the right choice for yourself? Just ask yourself these 3 simple questions. Step 1. Do you expect your income and bracket to rise significantly? If you're young and you expect your salary to really jump, locking in taxes now with a Roth is super appealing. Step 2, will you have other significant taxable income in retirement, like a hefty pension or rental income? If yes, a traditional account might just unnecessarily stack your taxable income later. And step 3, does your employer even offer a Roth option? Because if they don't, well, your decision is kind of made for you, at least for now.
And remember, it doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing game. Splitting your contributions between both types of accounts is a fantastic, completely legitimate strategy. Doing this gives you that incredible tax diversification we talked about earlier. Honestly, it's often the smartest default move if you are completely unsure of what the future holds. Ultimately, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Do you want to try and predict the exact future of congressional tax brackets over the next 30 years? Or do you want the total flexibility to control your own taxes when you finally retire? Build your strategy around giving yourself choices. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope this clears up the tricky math that nobody ever seems to show you.